Have you ever wondered why certain things just don't flow in your life, as if a force invisible held you back? Do you argue for no reason with those you love? You face sudden losses? Or you feel an unstoppable sadness apparent reason? What many they call it, bad luck, in the spiritual world, has other name, energy attack. And in the midst of this conflict invisible, a figure emerges that not only it understood deeply, but also fought evil with invisible weapons. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina. It is not a question of a character, anyone. This humble Capuchin friar was recognized by the Catholic Church as a saint, but before that, he was feared by the demons and worshipped by thousands who were looking for in search of spiritual relief. Padre Pio had unexplained mystical gifts, bilocation, visions, stigmata, and the reading ability the soul of people. But what few you know is that also led teachings practices to protect yourself of evil, many times transmitted in confessions, private letters or advice to his followers. Among these revelations, there is one especially powerful one that we're going to share with you today, a protection ritual with salt, seemingly simple, but deeply spiritual. In his most intimate moments of prayer, Padre Pio spoke of the weight of the energies invisible. He claimed that evil does not always come in the form of temptation direct, but as a dense mist that filters in our homes, relationships, and thoughts. Many sometimes, he said, these negative influences come from other people, sometimes without them saying it no, burdened with jealousy, resentment, or unconscious desires for destruction. In one of his lesser-known letters written to a parishioner in 1957, Padre Pio said, "The human soul must be defended as a house is defended from the wind ice cream. It must be sealed the windows, reinforce the doors, and above all, raise prayers like invisible walls." But what? This has to do with salt, much more than you imagine. The conflict. Here it is clear, we live in a world where spiritual evil is not seen, but is felt, and most people do not have tools to defend themselves. They feel helpless, lost, not knowing what to do. That is where it comes in the silent wisdom of Padre Pio. He did not recommend magical practices nor rituals away from the faith. Everything contrary. He taught that the elements of the land, when are consecrated by the faith, they become in spiritual weapons. And one of these, the most powerful elements, he said, are salt. Salt not only preserves food, but also preserves the soul when used with pure intention. And do you know why? This is so powerful. Because when you realize that you are not unarmed in the face of the darkness, something in you changes. Your spiritual posture transforms. You are no longer a victim. You are a guardian of your own light. And that is the first step toward the release. This chapter doesn't end here. What you're about to discover in the next few minutes are not just a ritual. It is a key to close the doors to evil and regain your spiritual power. A method revealed in silence, but intended to protect those who have faith. Now let's dive in. In the spiritual root of this sacred element, salt, the ritual revealed by Padre Pio was not created at random. It has its roots into something much deeper and older, the spiritual use of salt as a sacred element. Since biblical times, salt has been a symbol of purity, preservation, and divine covenant. The Old Testament, it is called salt of the covenant, and was used in the sacrifices to seal agreements between God and his people. In Leviticus 2:13 it is stated, "You shall present salt with every offering. You shall not let the salt of the covenant of your God fail." Why? Because salt does not corrupt easily. Unlike bread that hardens, from wine that turns sour, or oil that becomes contaminated, the salt remains. And that permanence is a symbol of the eternal, the incorruptible, the divine. In the tradition early Christian Tasu, blessed salt was used in baptisms to exorcise the evil one and prepare the soul to receive the light. Even today, in exorcist rites authorized by the Church, blessed salt is scattered in homes where dark presences are perceived. It is not superstition. It is ancient spiritual wisdom, based in centuries of experience and faith. But it is not only in Christianity we find this. In cultures around the world, from Judaism to rituals in the Far East, salt has been used to purify spaces, seal intentions, and protect people. How is it possible that civilizations so different coincided in that? Because the spiritual world has its own laws universal, and one of them is that certain elements have a vibration that repels evil. Salt is one of them. Padre Pio did it. He knew. For him, salt represented more than a mineral. It was a symbol of alliance with the divine, of the permanence of the faith, even in the face of the darkest storms. When combined with prayer, pure intention and spiritual respect is transformed into an invisible shield that does not need scientific explanation because its effects are felt. In fact, there are ancient said among exorcists, where there is salt and faith, demon does not remain. It is a forceful statement, but also an invitation to become aware that simple can be tremendously powerful. And here comes a truth that many ignore. In spiritual combat does not win the strongest, but the most constant. And the use of salt, as he taught Padre Pio, is a form of spiritual constancy, a physical reminder of a reality invisible. Something so simple as a handful of salt can remind you every day that you are not alone, that you are protected, and that you can revert any energy dark. It is no coincidence that in moments of desperation, people from different cultures throw salt in the corners of their houses, on their shoulders, or indoors. They are echoes of a wisdom ancient that, although forgotten by many, is still alive in the hearts of those who feel the spiritual world. Now that you understand why salt is such a powerful spiritual tool, it's time to go deeper, to learn how Padre Pio taught how to use this element to break chains, return evil, and close the doors to all witchcraft. What you are going to hear next is not just a ritual. It is an act of faith in movement, and when you do with a heart aligned with the results can be truly transformative. Get ready, because now you are going to learn the complete step-by-step of this spiritual practice that has changed the lives of many. Imagine this. It's nighttime. Moon has started its retreat, slowly dwindling in the sky. The atmosphere is silent. But something is felt in the air, a tension you can't explain. You know something isn't right, that there's an energy that doesn't belong to you lurking in your life, your home, your body. It is in these kinds of moments that the ritual taught by Padre Pio takes on its full power. Before any movement, Padre Pio insisted, the ritual must become with the heart clean, without anger or desire for revenge. This is not an act of retaliation, but a prayer in action. It is not about attacking the other, but about returning with serenity what does not belong to you. Materials you will need: coarse salt, preferably natural, a sheet of paper in white, a black pen, yes, specifically black. Water can be blessed if you wish to further elevate the intention. A transparent plastic bag with closure. Step 1. Paper as a mirror of the soul. In a quiet place without interruptions, sit down calmly and take a deep breath. Take the paper and, with your own hands, start tearing the edges. Do not cut with scissors. The act of tearing is symbolic. You are breaking the cycle, fragmenting the invisible ties. Then write down everything that you feel is affecting your life. You can name people if you want, but the most important thing is to write from what you are experiencing. Pain, fear, sadness, insomnia, arguments, thoughts, dark. Write it all down without filters. Step 2. Folding toward the outside. Take the paper and fold it 3 times, always toward outside. Why toward outside? Because you are declaring to the universe and the spiritual plane that it does not belong to you, that you want it to leave your energy field. 3 sometimes represents body, mind, and spirit. Everything that was contaminated must be released. Step 3. The spiritual seal. Place a layer of salt inside the plastic bag. Then put the folded paper on that bed of salt and cover it with more salt on top. as if you were symbolically burying that weight. At this point, add 3 drops of water. If it is blessed, even better. These drops represent your tears, your faith, and your cleanliness. Don't use water in excess, just enough to activate the ritual of freezing. Step 4. Freezing. Seal well the bag and place it in your freezer. Leave it right there exactly 7 days. Not 5, not 10. 7. Why? Because the number 7 in the Bible represents fullness, closure of cycle, completed work of God. The world was created in 7 days. This is a spiritual renewal that must follow that same pattern. During those 7 days, every time you open the freezer, remember that what is in there is getting colder, insulated, and weakened. Those energies are being neutralized without possibility of return. Do not feed them with negative thoughts. Let them go, die in the ice. Step 5. The sacred discard. When it is completed the 7 days, takes the bag to a place away from your home. It can be a public trash can, a river, a forest, wherever you feel guided. But here's the key. Never look back. This act, apparently simple, represents one of the beginning older spiritual sayings. Don't revive what you've buried. Looking back, like Lot's wife in the biblical story, you can get frozen in the past. Your gaze should be towards forward, towards your new liberated reality. Warnings, never you do with desire to hurt. If in your heart, if there is anger or a thirst for human justice, stop. This ritual is not to punish, but to restore peace. Don't talk of the ritual with other people while this in process. Keep silence. Discretion is a form of respect for the spiritual world. Make a prayer simple before starting. Lord, who is this action be guided by your light? I do not wish do wrong, but return what is not mine and recover my peace. Amen. Many people, when performing this ritual, have felt a sense of relief, almost immediate. Headaches disappear. The atmosphere at home becomes lighter. Dreams become clearer. Others have experienced coincidences that in reality are signs. People suddenly moving away. Revelations in unexpected conversations. The true coming to light. This ritual is not magic. It's spirituality in action. It is concrete faith, which is expressed through elements that God Himself believe. As I was saying, Padre Pio, the soul that trusts in God will never be defeated, but it must act. Faith without works, it is dead. Now that you know each step, it's time to understand why. The moment you perform this ritual can be as decisive as the act in Yeah. The next part will reveal how the waning moon power, spiritual power, and why the intention of the heart is what defines the whole outcome. Many people ask, why the ritual must be done during the moon waning? What has to do with the position of the moon with the energies spiritual? The answer is in the connection between the sky and the soul. Since ancient times, the wise men, they observed lunar cycles, not as superstition, but as reflections of the movement of God in the creation. The moon waning represents the time to release, cleanse, end cycles, and eliminate charges. Just as the light of the moon decreases, too has to decrease the influence from evil in your life. During this period, the waters of the body and of the spirit respond with more force to the acts of purification. Therefore, performing the ritual in that power phase your power. It is not a condition mandatory. You can do it in any time if there is urgency. But if you can wait, the moon waning is your spiritual ally. But there is something even more important than the moment of sky, the state of your heart. Padre Pio insisted in this. Intention is the soul of all spiritual action. You can have all the right elements, do each step to the perfection. But if your intention is contaminated, the ritual will not work, and it is here where many fail. There are those who, they want to return the evil with hate, with rage, with desires for revenge. They want to see the other suffer. But the spiritual world does not respond to that vibration. That energy not compatible with the light. The ritual is not a spell. It is not a weapon to attack. It is a tool of restoration. It must be born of the desire to recover peace, divine justice, the spiritual balance, not to hurt. And this is vital. A woman who followed the tips of Padre Pio once shared his experience. He tried the ritual with rage, wishing her enemy to suffer. Nothing happened. Her life didn't improve. But when, weeks later, did with serenity, with the intention to clean his energy and deliver the judgment of God, the change was immediate. He felt relief, slept well. Already few days, the troubled person walked away on his own without confrontation. This is no coincidence. It is the manifestation of a powerful spiritual law. When the intention is pure, the universe conspires to restore the order, and what does not belong to you goes away. As can make sure that your intention is the correct. Before you begin the ritual, take a few minutes to pray in silence. Ask for light, peace, and give the result to God. Tell him, Lord, do your will, not the mine. May your justice act, and I receive your peace. You can also make a small one-guided meditation by the breathing. Inhale deeply. Hold your breath for a few seconds, then exhale with the idea of releasing all negative thoughts. Repeat, I am safe. I am guided. I am at peace. This inner state is the key that activates the ritual. Remember, God does not listen words, listen hearts. And if your heart is aligned with the light, nothing will be able to arrest the liberation process. Do this ritual during the moon waning with a pure intention is like opening a window in half a room dark. Light comes in, old goes away, and something new can be born. And most powerful of all, when you act with faith, the consequences, spiritual ones, not only protect you, they also reveal truths that were hidden. In the next chapter, you're going to hear testimonies of people who lived this experience and how the evil manifested itself, was neutralized, and in many cases, he returned to his origin with transformative force. Get ready, because what's coming next can change the way you see things forever invisible. The true power of a spiritual act is not alone in his execution, but in which transforms after him. And the testimonies that emerged from this ritual revealed by Padre Pio are simply impressive. A woman in Colombia, he recounted that for months his home was a battlefield. Constant disputes with her husband, illnesses that came and went, disturbing dreams. She tried therapies, house cleanings, even medical treatments, without success. Until, guided by a friend, she decided to perform the ritual of freezing with salt, following each step with faith and pure heart. Just 24 hours later, he felt a peace he hadn't felt in a while. Years. Her husband, unaware of the ritual, appeared more serene. The tension in the air had become dissipated. A week later, he confessed that he had dreamed with a dark figure leaving the house. Coincidence or spiritual confirmation? Another case, a young businessman in Argentina. His business was going plummeting. Customers were canceling. For no reason, her computer would crash just before important presentations, and the feeling of being blocked was constant. He, skeptical but desperate, decided, did the ritual. And in the following days, 2 unexpected contracts appeared. People who had disappeared returned with proposals, and most shocking, he discovered that someone nearby had been working spiritually against him out of envy. This brings us to one of the most astonishing consequences of the ritual, the revelation. Many, they report that after carrying out the process, they began to have dreams with faces not previously remembered, to receive messages indirect, to see more clearly who were the causes of the negative energy. It is as if, by returning evil to its origin, the source will be exposed. Padre Pio said that when you pray with sincerity, the true always finds path to manifest. And that's not all. There are those who, when performing this ritual, not only they felt relief immediate, but they noticed physical changes, chronic pain that decreased, insomnia that disappeared, even cases where doctors could not find explanation for a sudden recovery. How is this possible? Because the body and soul are connected. When you cleanse your spiritual field, your body also responds. This ritual acts as an invisible shield, a kind of energy field that blocks new negative intrusions and repels dark intentions. It has been said that his effect can last for months, especially if accompanied by constant prayer, emotional vigilance, and spiritual cleansing of the home, and occurs with who they sent evil. Here comes in game a deep spiritual principle, the law of the return. When you freeze bad energies, they do not disappear. They are stopped, neutralized, and then return to their fountain with the same intensity to which they were sent. Not out of revenge, but out of divine justice. And many times, that leads to a transformation in another, or his definitive distancing. Some even report that after performing the ritual, people who sensed it as a source, they began to avoid evil and distance themselves from it, without clear reason. This is not a coincidence. It is spiritual. But ritual isn't just about defense, it's also about empowerment. Every time someone decides to protect their soul, set boundaries spiritual, and declare with faith that deserves peace and prosperity, is rebuilding your energy self-esteem. And that is reflected in everything: health, relationships, money, purpose. As he said, Padre Pio, faith manifests itself in the action, and when the soul acts from the light, all darkness vanishes. And you who having come this far, you are no longer the same person who started this video, has received an ancestral knowledge, a powerful tool, and above all, a call to take the spiritual control of your life. It doesn't matter whatever they've tried to do to you. No matter how much time you carry suffering, from now on, you know how to close that door, how to return evil without hate, how walk with a shield of light. And that, dear viewer, is more valuable than any amulet, because it is born from the faith, and the faith, as well it knew Padre Pio, moves mountains, transforms destinies, and protects souls. Now that you've come this far, stop, take a moment, and take a deep breath. You just received a knowledge that is not common, a spiritual secret that is not in the self-help books, nor in fashion rituals. This is wisdom from the saints, passed on with humility, with faith, and with power. Padre Pio does not. He left magic formulas. He left us paths of faith active, so that everyone can take the reins of his own spiritual protection. This ritual is not to control, manipulate, or revenge. It is to recover your light, your center, your peace. Remember, evil only has power when you allow it. And today, you have learned how close that door, seal it with salt, and raise a wall invisible blessing to you around. Don't underestimate what you did when you watched this video. It wasn't chance. It was a response, a sign, a preparation for something your soul already asked. Does time. Now I ask you, are you ready to protect yourself, to live in peace, to cut ties with what makes you damage? So act. Share this video with someone who also needs light. Subscribe for more revelations, deep spiritual, and comment below. Have you ever felt like you were the victim of a spiritual attack? Did you know about this ritual? What did you feel when you heard about it? Because here, in this community, you are not alone. You are surrounded by souls who, like you, decided live with faith, with purpose, and with divine protection. May God bless you. And as I said, Padre Pio himself, pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry doesn't help. God is merciful and will hear your prayer.